Welcome to the Red Pill Report, the podcast that dares to expose the truth behind the left's agenda and challenge the mainstream narratives. I'm your host, and in this episode, we're going to dive deep into one of the most contentious topics that the left wants to control: the Second Amendment. Let's start at the beginning. The Second Amendment of the United States Constitution, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, shall not be infringed. This single sentence has been the center of heated discussions since its inclusion in 1791. Some argue that the Second Amendment was intended to protect the individual right of Americans to possess firearms for self-defense and as a safeguard against tyranny. They view it as an essential element of preserving liberty and protecting citizens from threats, both foreign and domestic. However, the left dismisses this interpretation, claiming that the Second Amendment only applies to militias organized by states, not individuals. They argue that the right to bear arms should be limited to those actively serving in a state-regulated militia, effectively stripping law-abiding citizens of their rights. The temperature rises as we turn our attention to the core argument for many Second Amendment advocates: the right to self-defense. For them, owning firearms is about personal safety and protection against potential threats, including criminals and intruders. They argue that responsible gun ownership empowers individuals to protect themselves, their families, and their properties. The idea of relying on law enforcement alone is seen as insufficient in the face of immediate danger. However, the left challenges this stance, claiming that increased gun ownership leads to more violence and accidents. They advocate for stricter gun control measures to limit access to firearms, arguing that relying on professional law enforcement is the safer option. Hold on tight because we're about to expose the left's true intentions. They want to undermine the Constitution, and the Second Amendment is a prime target. The left's disdain for individual liberties is evident in their disregard for the Constitution's original intent. They view the Constitution as a living document, subject to their interpretation and manipulation to suit their agenda. They conveniently forget that the Founding Fathers explicitly crafted the Second Amendment to protect citizens from government overreach, ensuring that the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. The left's dream of a disarmed populace goes hand in hand with their desire to crush our Second Amendment rights. They can't stand the idea of individuals having the means to resist their radical agenda. Their obsession with gun control knows no bounds, and they'll use any tragedy as an excuse to push for more restrictions. They don't care about our rights. They only care about expanding their power and control over the American people. The left's attempts to disarm us are not new. Throughout history, oppressive regimes have sought to disarm their citizens, leaving them defenseless and vulnerable to tyranny. The Second Amendment stands as a bulwark against such attempts, ensuring that the people retain the power to resist government tyranny if needed. The left loves to talk about empathy and compassion, but their stance on gun control reveals their true colors. They want to target law-abiding gun owners and paint them as potential criminals. Instead of focusing on the root causes of violence, the left demonizes law-abiding citizens who exercise their constitutional rights. It's a classic case of blaming the innocent while coddling the guilty. The left's push for restrictive gun laws only affects those who follow the law, not the criminals who obtain firearms through illegal means. Disarming law-abiding citizens does nothing to address the real sources of violence in society. Get ready for some heated debate because the left's gun control measures are nothing more than theater. They push for more regulations, background checks, and so-called assault weapon bans. But it's all smoke and mirrors. The reality is that these measures do nothing to address the root causes of violence. Criminals don't follow the law, and no amount of gun control will stop them from getting their hands on firearms. The left's obsession with gun control isn't about reducing crime. It's about expanding their control over the populace. They use tragedies to push their agenda, cynically exploiting emotions to manipulate public opinion. Let's set the record straight. The Second Amendment isn't just about hunting or sport shooting. It's a crucial safeguard against tyranny and a reminder to the government that they serve at the will of the people. The left may try to downplay the importance of the Second Amendment, but history has shown that an armed populace is essential to maintaining freedom. Throughout the world, disarmed citizens have become victims of oppressive regimes, unable to defend themselves against tyranny. The Second Amendment serves as a check against government overreach, ensuring that the government remains accountable to the people. It reinforces the idea that the true power lies with the citizens, not the ruling class. While the left loves to virtue signal about mental health, Their policies often disregard the importance of mental health support for those in need. They scapegoat mental illness as the cause of gun violence, ignoring the vast majority of individuals with mental health issues who never commit violent acts. It's a dangerous narrative that stigmatizes mental illness and distracts from the underlying problems. Rather than addressing the root causes of violence, the left exploits mental health as a convenient scapegoat to push their gun control agenda. This approach not only fails to prevent violence, but also perpetuates the harmful stigma surrounding mental health. Here's a dose of reality for the left. Criminals don't care about gun laws. They don't follow them, and no amount of new regulations will change that. In their misguided pursuit of gun control, the left penalizes law-abiding citizens while leaving criminals free to wreak havoc. It's a twisted logic that only makes us more vulnerable to those who seek to do harm. Gun control laws disproportionately affect law-abiding citizens who use firearms for self-defense and sporting purposes. Meanwhile, criminals continue to obtain guns through illegal means, making gun control measures ineffective in reducing crime. The left loves to play with emotions and manipulate public opinion through their disinformation campaign. They twist statistics, misrepresent facts, and cherry-pick data to push their anti-gun agenda. They use tragedies as emotional leverage to argue for more restrictive gun laws, conveniently ignoring the countless instances where law-abiding gun owners use firearms to protect themselves and others. The left's disinformation campaign is a deliberate attempt to mislead the public and advance their agenda. They create a false narrative, painting law-abiding gun owners as potential threats and pushing for stricter gun control measures that do nothing to address the root causes of violence. The Second Amendment was crafted to put power in the hands of the people, not the government. It's a reminder that we, the citizens, are the ultimate guardians of our freedom. The left may try to silence us and disarm us, but we won't back down. We'll continue to stand strong and fight for our rights, no matter the opposition. The right to bear arms is not a gift from the government. It is an inherent right bestowed upon us by our Constitution. It is a symbol of our ability to resist tyranny and protect our liberty. As we near the end of this intense episode, let's contemplate the future of the Second Amendment. With an ever-changing societal landscape and evolving views on gun rights, the conversation continues to evolve. The Supreme Court plays a pivotal role in interpreting the Second Amendment, and its decisions shape the nation's gun laws. The future of the Second Amendment may depend on the court's rulings and the balance between individual rights and public safety. And that concludes our fiery exploration of the Second Amendment, the battleground of freedom and self-defense. The left may want to control our rights, but we won't let them. We'll defend the Second Amendment and our liberties with all our might. Remember, here at the Red Pill Report, we fearlessly expose the left's agenda and stand up for truth and freedom. Join us next time as we take on another red-hot topic that challenges the status quo and sparks passionate debates. Thank you for tuning into the Red Pill Report. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and keep fighting the woke mind virus. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, keep seeking the Red Pill.